TLDR of this video. The general schedule of Trackblazer will be: in junior year, pre-debut to August, we're training for bonds. September to December, we race for items. In classic year, January to March, we train for bonds and stats. In April to June, we race for items. In the summer to September, we train for stats. In October to December, we race for items. In senior year, January to February, we train for stats. March to June, we race for items. Summer to September, we train for stats again. October to December, we race and prepare for finals. And during finals, we use all items to train and race. The total number of races will be around 30 to 40 depending on the progress of the run. Make sure to build a deck with at least 50% race bonus to capitalize on this. The goal is to try to run every G1 race possible or plausible. Supplement your UMA with necessary aptitudes to broaden your repertoire. For example, mile, medium, and turf sparks will be required. The general rule for aptitude is: A stands for adequate, B stands for bearable, C stands for copium, and D stands for dead. Remember these things and you should survive. So the next part of the video is going to be a little bit more freeform. We're going to talk everything about the Trackblazer race mechanics, which is going to be significantly different from the base game. So if you still remember, in URA and Unity, we used to have these goal races, the goalposts that you have to pass before you can progress your career for individual Umamusumes. And that's going to be story dependent. So it's going to depend on who you're running and what their specific goals are. In Make a New Track or Trackblazer, however, this is all going to change because you will no longer have these character-specific race goals. Right? They just don't exist anymore. And you can pick and choose your own races to run. So one of the main ramifications about that is that you will find that after every race that you choose to run, you will lose energy. The only exception is the finals of the run. The energy consumption baseline is also going to be different. So every race is going to be costing you 20 energy if you win the race. That is, if you pick the top option after the race. If you gamble on the bottom option, no longer will you get a chance of getting -5 or -20. It is also going to change to -10 or -25. If you lose a race narrowly, say if you're a podium, but you get like second or third, then what you're going to be getting is that you're going to lose 25 energy for picking the top option and 15 or 35 for picking the bottom option. Placing any lower is catastrophic, so I'm not going to talk about that. And you might think at this point, hey, do I have to race these races? Do I have to race 30 to 40 times over the course of the run? And the answer is yes. Ideally, you will want to, and there's a reason for that. The first reason is that racing gives you points for completing objectives. So during Make a New Track or Trackblazer, you are going to be given a new goal at the end of the year. And that new goal is going to be to accrue a certain amount of points, the racing points, if you will. And so the more races you do, the more you win, the more points you will get, and it will count towards your points total at the end of the year. And generally, you don't have to worry too much about that, because if you do enough races during the year, which you will have to, you are very easily going to meet these goals. So you don't really have to keep count. Just remember that G1 is going to give more points than G2, which is going to give more points than G3, and then over opens and pre-opens. Another thing which is arguably more important to the racing mechanic in this scenario, it is going to be the fact that racing and winning races give you shop currency. The special shop is going to be a powerful new mechanic exclusive to Trackblazer. You can buy all sorts of game-breakingly powerful items, and that is going to be the reason why you do these races. You win race, you buy items, you use items for you to win more races and train better. So winning any race is going to give you 100 shop currency, and if you get top 3, you'll get 60. This is independent of the grade level of the races, so doing open is going to yield the same amount of points, which is going to be 100, as winning a G1 race. What it will also allow you to do is to refresh the shop sometime. So let's say you check shop and the shop does not contain the items you want. What you can then do is to just go do a race, and hopefully after you win the race, the shop will refresh and give you a couple items that you can actually buy and use. This refresh will be dependent on the grade level of your race. Although I don't have any empirical evidence, it does seem that if you do a G1 race, the refresh shop is going to contain better graded items than if you were to say you win an open race or a G3 race. One thing to also take note is that the refreshed items will last generally a little bit shorter than what exists naturally in the shop. So you do want to plan around that. I might talk a little bit more about the shop in another video, so we'll just keep that in mind. If you have an item that you want to buy, you want to make sure that you don't wait until the absolute last turn to buy them, because what happens is that if you're going to do a race on that turn and you realize that you don't have enough to afford the items that you were meant to buy, after the race you won't be able to buy it anymore. You will see it disappear. So when it says 2 turns left and you have to do a race, just buy it. Winning a race gives the same amount of random stat bonus as you do in URA or Unity, but it will give lower SP. So I believe instead of gaining 45 base SP for winning a G1 race, you only get about 35 base. And that amount scales with race bonus, which is why in this scenario race bonus is very important, because over the course of the run doing 30 races, you're going to lose a lot more SP than you would playing Unity. Next, we're going to talk about the potential ramifications for doing too many races in a row, which is a real issue in Trackblazer. So as you probably already know, doing 3 races in a row or more will give you a chance of mood down, and sometimes it will also give you skin outbreak. Skin outbreak is a condition during which you will get even more mood downs, so that's not a very good thing if you get it. Generally speaking, you can try to chain 3 races in a row, because that's not going to give you a very high chance of mood down or skin condition. However, if you ever go beyond the 4, then there's a real chance for you to get everything, and sometimes you will lose 30 stats as well, so it will be devastating. There is also the fact that if you try to race on 0 energy, you will also sometimes get a mood down event, sometimes get a skin outbreak. So these are the scenarios that you want to avoid. Luckily, in the shop you will have access to items that will cure your skin outbreak and sometimes also give you energy back. So sometimes it's a gamble for you to decide whether or not to chain these races. There is a little trick though. At the very end of each year, during late December, even if that race is the end of a long chain of races, it will not affect your mood or give you bad conditions. The general rule of thumb for doing races is that you always want to be doing G1s that you can do. This is especially true if the G1 that you're about to do is a part of a bigger epithet, which includes the triple crowns and the triple tiara. If you see a very good training, you can sometimes skip a G2 or below to just train. You kind of have to get a feel for yourself for what is a worthy training in your mind and what is not. That is your decision. There will be a specific set of G1 races that you will want to do for your specific Umamusume. Other players and content creators have already figured this out, so they have come up with extensive schedules that you can reference. In general, there are these few ones that you have to remember, which are the classic Triple Crown, the Triple Tiara plus Queen Elizabeth Cup, classic Triple Crown plus Arima Kinen, NHK Mile plus Yasuda Kinen plus Mile Championship, the Senior Spring Triple Crown, the Senior Autumn Triple Crown, the classic Triple Crown plus the Spring Double, the Hanshin Juvenile Filly plus the Triple Tiara plus 2 Queen Elizabeth Cups plus the Victoria Mile. You also have a banner for Yasuda plus a Mile Championship plus the Takamatsu no Miya Kinen plus Sprinter Stakes. That one is going to be for your short distance Umas like Bakshin and Taiki Shuttle. You have the 2 Tenno shows, you have the double sprint, like I said, Takamatsu no Miya Kinen and Sprinter Stakes. And that's about it for all the G1s, except for the dirt ones, which you can win 3, 4, or 5 times to get more stats. If you can do them, you want to make sure that you don't skip any of these grouped up G1s. A little thing to remember is that you want to do the Mile Championship in Classic Year and the Japan Cup in Senior Year, because these 2 G1 races overlap with each other. For any of the G2 or below races, you want to always look out for the rival races. Sometimes you'll see these little rival icons if you just press the race button. And beating these rivals will give you extra hints for skills or extra stats. You don't always have to do them, but they're there for you to take advantage on. To round off this video, we're going to talk about some miscellaneous stuff, like the fact that you only have 5 clocks that you can use during a run. As you can probably already imagine, having 5 chances to redo over a course of a 30 race period is probably going to be a little bit insufficient in some cases. So you kind of have to ration your clocks a little bit. So my suggestion would be that unless you absolutely need to use them, don't use the clocks on a G2 or below race. You want to mainly be saving those clocks for when you fail a major G1 race that you have to do. If you're just missing that 40 shop points that you need to buy a key item, you can also use the clock. Some hard races for you to save your clocks for will be the early mile G1 races, because they're highly random, the Kika Show and also the Tenno Show Spring, because they're more of a stamp check, and sometimes you fail a gold recovery and you just lose the race. What you can then do is that you can use the clock, and you can also buy skills for you to win these races more comfortably. Another thing to consider is the usage of hammers. So if you don't already know, in the shop sometimes you'll come across these little horseshoe hammers. And what they do is that they increase your race bonus even more. But because these things don't come around very often, you want to really be saving these hammers for a G1. And also you want to be saving 3 golden hammers for the upcoming finals. If you remember in URA and Unity, the URA finale finals will give you a massive round of stats. And so that will be continued in Make a New Track or Trackblazer as well. So you want to be saving those horseshoe hammers for an even bigger stat increase. If you're doing a fan run, you can also consider buying the glow sticks. Those things will help you increase your fans faster. Anyway, that is going to be all for this video. I hope you'll have fun with the next scenario. I'm probably going to be back talking about the items that you can buy from the shop, because that is the core mechanic of this scenario, so stay tuned.